Okay, it's 11:01. I'm going to begin. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I'm
morning.
Doris Carson Williams, Chief Executive Officer for the African American Chamber of Commerce here in Western Pennsylvania, and our mission to continuously improve business opportunities for African American business owners and all small business owners in our region. I'd like to formally turn this over to our Chief Operating Officer, Sean Hicks, who will introduce our speaker and welcome him back because he's quite popular. Sean, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Yeah, this is a follow-up from our last year when we had our basically an introduction to Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, and this time we're going to get into more detail. The person giving this webinar will be Johnny Gamble, who is a management consultant for the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center. For the past 2.5 years, Johnny has worked with clients across the entire business cycle, from just an idea to large businesses. He performs outreach within the city of Pittsburgh, including working in different office day every day, available by appointment on the North Shore, North Side, Oakland, Homewood, and the Hill District. Mr. Gamble, we turn it over to you.
All right, thanks for the introduction, Sean. I really appreciate it. It's a really great opportunity to be able to speak to so many people here in the African American Chamber of Commerce of Western Pennsylvania. We have a fun presentation in front of us today covering different tips and tricks on how to work with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we can take it from there. So let me go ahead and get screen share going here.
And for everyone that's not on mute, can you please mute yourself? And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Thank you.
Gotcha. So as far as I can tell, my full screen should be shared going now then. So if it's not, somebody let me know. But again, just to remind you, today we're going to be going over tips and tricks to using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint here today then. So before we get started off with, I always like to give a little bit of information about our services. If you're not aware, the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center is a completely no-cost resource to help you in your business. So just like Doris said earlier, in terms of their goal is to try to help businesses across Western Pennsylvania with those resources, we're trying to aim for the same mission there by providing no-cost business consulting. So whether it's you're looking for your business planning, strategic planning, so on and so forth, I'm not going to go ahead and read you the whole list there, but whatever sort of assistance that you're looking for with your business, our hope is that we can either help you with that directly or at least connect you to the proper resources that are there then. Whether you're someone with just a business idea who's looking to start the business, whether you're an established business who's trying to grow, if I had to sum up what we do into one sentence, we'd like to help business owners make better business decisions then. So we're trying to help your business start, grow, and prosper as you go along your business journey. We aim to do that through three main categories. The first category would be educational workshops. So just as we help out with organizations like the African American Chamber of Commerce of Western Pennsylvania, we also host our own educational workshops completely at no cost to you. We also provide one-on-one consulting. So whether you're working with me or one of my coworkers, you can move directly into meeting one-on-one with the consultant in your business as well as some specialized services we have through our centers of excellence. Two of those programs I'd like to point out is our Center of Excellence in Digital Services, where we can provide a completely no-cost SEO report for your business. If you're not familiar, SEO is a way to measure the performance of your business's website for search engine results. Basically trying to say that, hey, if I'm a restaurant business, well, if someone is going in and typing into Google, restaurants near me or restaurants Pittsburgh, in a nutshell, the better your SEO is, the better your performance will be on that sort of Google search. The closer your business's website would be to the top of that page. That SEO report, as well as an accompanying social media audit, are very, very helpful resources available to businesses. Another center of excellence we have is supply chain, in that we're connected with the university as well as UPMC. We have a lot of specialty events and specialty services to help connect your businesses with potential contract opportunities within those university systems there. Across our team, we have a whole bunch of expertise in different skills and skill sets we try to bring to assist clients. We're led by our interim director, Bob Stein, as well as our interim assistant director, Nicole Hudson. But across our team, our hope is to provide that level of business consulting regardless of what your need is. Across our team, we have Brent Rondon, who is our primary Spanish-speaking consultant, as well as international trade. Leanne Briggs is our environmental consultant. So if your business has any environmental regulations, she's the perfect person to get in contact with. Eric Swift is our consultant for Indiana County. Zach Patton that helps assist with Washington and Greene counties. Lynn Ninke is the manager of our emerging enterprise program, which is that student team which helps put those SEO reports together. There's me. I can give Sean gave the introduction to me earlier, but I handle a little bit of outreach within the city of Pittsburgh. So like Sean said, I'm in a different office every day. One of those things of, I sit in traffic every day, but it's different traffic, breaks up the monotony a little bit. But I'm across the North Shore, Oakland, the North Side, Homewood, and the Hill District then, depending on the day of the week. We also have our intake coordinator, Terry Kennelly Cook, who helps get new clients into our system, as well as our HR specialist and accounting specialist, Lauren Schultz. So no worries. We don't just operate within the city of Pittsburgh. We operate in the 9 surrounding counties of Allegheny County as well. So whether you are in the city of Pittsburgh or you're just somewhere within Western Pennsylvania, our hope is that we can assist you in your business then. Now, with that little introduction about our services out of the way, then let's take a look at our presentation agenda for today. Then, the first thing we're going to be covering is a comparison of Microsoft Word and PowerPoint to their Google equivalents, Google Docs and Google Slides. After that, we're then going to go into three different levels of tips for Microsoft Word, 3 different levels of tips for Microsoft PowerPoint, and then we're going to end today with a little Q&A session here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing that comes up in almost every meeting I have with clients when we're going over these sort of digital services is saying, hey, I often use Google instead of Microsoft Word. Is this presentation material still going to be applicable to me then? Well, in a nutshell, there's a lot of compatibility between the two softwares. There are a few differences, but no worries. All the information we'll be covering today will be centered on Word and PowerPoint, but they will still be applicable to Google Docs and Google Slides as well. In a nutshell, the pros to using Google as opposed to Microsoft is that the Google services are free. It's completely free to go and make a Gmail account, to go and store your files in Google Drive, to go and use Google Docs to go and make those documents, whereas Microsoft has a cost associated with it. Either you go and buy that Microsoft Office, which was that one-time purchase a few years back. Recently, Microsoft has moved to a subscription service where you will then pay a set monthly fee or perhaps an annual fee at a reduced rate to then get access to their software then. Another pro to Google is the collaboration on multiple documents. If you're working with a larger team where you perhaps maybe want multiple people working on one document all at the same time, Google services are a little bit better about having that collaboration all at once. That being said, Microsoft still has that ability through their OneDrive and SharePoint services, but if it's multiple people on one document at the same time, Google tends to be a little bit preferable to that. However, the drawbacks tend to be is that Google Docs tends to be a little bit less user-friendly, and there are fewer features and templates when it comes to using those Google services then. So it's one of those things where Word and PowerPoint, Excel, so on and so forth have been around a lot longer time. They have more features in there. It's a little bit easier to use them. And you tend to have more built-in support like those templates. So a lot of businesses that I know tend to work with Microsoft, but no worries at all if you're already using Google services then. What I would suggest is use whatever you're comfortable with. If you already have experience working with Microsoft or you already have experience working with Google, there's no wrong answer here when it comes to what works the best for you then. Oftentimes, don't try to swim upstream, you know what I mean? Try to just go with what you feel comfortable with when it comes to choosing between Microsoft or Google. That being said, if you do want to go between them, there's a lot of compatibility between those two services. Not only do they have the same core features, but you can also import a Word document into Docs or Slides, just like that. Then. That being said, like let's say that you are working on a Word document and you're sending it to, maybe you're working with a marketing consultant who uses a different service. You can always take something that you have in Word and then put it into Google Docs, and Google will automatically format it then. That being said, sometimes that conversion process can lead to some formatting issues. So just make sure that you double check it to make sure that the formatting properly got over and across it. Especially if you're working on something like a flyer or a different service where you might want to make sure that that document looks quality. It's very important to make sure that you check the compatibility between the two services. The same goes vice versa. If you're working Google Docs or Google Slides, you can go up and export from Docs or Slides and then put that into Word or PowerPoint as well. That being said, still leads to formatting issues, vice versa there. Now, it's actually really easy to go in and do this example. So here, I'm sharing my screen. Let me go ahead and show you an example right here then. So this is the document. I've been storing the files that I've been working on for this presentation here today. And on this right-hand side, I have Google Drive open. So Google Drive is the service within Google where you can go and store all of your documents. It's the file sharing system where you store it. Look at how easy it is for me to convert a Google Word or a Microsoft Word document then into a Google Doc form. So we're to jump ahead a little bit here. I have this Word document that we're going to be using for some of our examples in a little bit. But what I can do is I can just simply click it, drag it right over. I'm going to upload it right into this Google Drive real fast. It's going to recognize that it's a Microsoft Word document. If I double click it and open it, it might take a few moments to convert the document. But there it is right there, the same document. For most intents and purposes, it's pretty similar there. Now, that being said, again, it can lead to some formatting issues. To get ahead of myself, again, one of the documents we're going to be looking at is this menu. Sometimes when you go and convert documents with less common text or more specific formatting on there, it will lead to those formatting issues if you convert it from one to the other. But for most intents and purposes, you can convert from one to the other very easily there. To get back to the presentation material, the way that we're going to be formatting our discussion today then is to try to break those tips for Microsoft Word into starter tips, intermediate tips, and expert tips. So I'm not sure exactly how familiar each and every single one of you is with these services, but the hope is that across the board there, we can find you can find at least something for you. One of those things where if you're not necessarily the most experienced with Word, focus on those starter tips. Make sure you have a good understanding of where to get started there. If it's something where, hey, I've been working in Word for a long time, then hopefully those expert tips can help you even further then. So let's go ahead and get started with those starter tips then. And to demonstrate this, I have this really handy document that I'm going to pull up on the right-hand side to showcase these sort of things then. The first tip I like to start off with demonstrating is that don't go ahead and reinvent the wheel. Before you even get started with Word, before you even go and open up Microsoft Word itself, there are a whole bunch of online resources and templates to help you get started with your documents. If I go ahead and open this link right here, which is just there on the Microsoft Word website, you can find a whole bunch of Word templates on there to help you get started with your business. It's one of those things where it can be very intimidating to say, hey, I'm going to go and make a flyer for my business, or hey, I'm going to go work on an updated menu for my restaurant, or hey, I'm going to go work on a capability statement for a bid I'm submitting for a contracting opportunity. Then it's going to be very intimidating to say, hey, I'm going to jump into Word, I'm going to go and figure out all the formatting there. Don't reinvent the wheel here. There are a whole bunch of resources out there already available for you to help get you started. If you go onto this Word website right here, you can go in and just go ahead and search for existing templates for already existing documents there. Let's go through those examples I said. Let's say I'm going to make a marketing flyer for my event then, and I'm not sure where to start. Well, if I go to that Microsoft Word templates and just search for flyer, I could see a whole bunch of options I have here. Oh, maybe I am having a fall festival now that it's getting colder out there. A fall gala, an opportunity to showcase my products then. It's one of these things where this formatting is already done. Microsoft is fully providing these for free. No need to reinvent the wheel here. Your business owners, you already have to juggle so many different things in a given day. You already have to wear so many different hats. Make the best use of your time and resources there. Don't be afraid to go and start with an existing template for something else. Say, hey, I have a 4th of July event coming up then. And that's a really cool image there of the American flag then. Oh, I have an event coming up where I'm going to be working with pets. Well, those are some really cute pictures already there. There are a whole bunch of different things that you can go on there, not just for flyers. Maybe I go for that bid opportunity. Maybe I search for a capability statement. Well, if we take a look through this document here, well, there are a whole bunch of capability statements that are already listed on there. This is a template right there I might use to say, like, hey, if you're bidding on a contract, you can use this capability statement as a template to help get you started. Again, no need to reinvent the wheel there. Another one that comes up might be a menu for a restaurant. So if I go and search for menus here, give it a second to load. Sometimes Google likes to be slow here. Or, well, I mean, I guess the Microsoft website tends to be slow. Let me refresh the page. Oh, there it goes. I was gonna say, so sometimes things don't like to be nice, but you can even see a whole bunch of different menu options on here. So that's what I always like to suggest is right off the bat. Then, when you're first starting off with, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Go and try to use those resources at first. Then, now the next tip I'd like to point out is a really helpful tool called the Format Painter. So if you go to this Home tab up here on the left-hand side, and you see this option here, this little paintbrush, what this is called is your Format Painter. What you can do is you can go and use this tool to then automatically change the format for another set of text to match something else. So let's say I am going and typing something. I'm going to go down here and say, for my business, I really like this. Okay, what's a fun sounding font here? Let's go with this Eris Demi ITC. I'm gonna type in, this is Eris Demi ITC font at size 17, italics. I don't want it underlined, but I do want it bolded. So maybe I will go here, highlight it, do that, and I will put the bold on there. So I now have this text formatted the way that I want to see it then. I've gone and done the time then, but I want to go and make this sentence look the exact same as that other sentence. Well, do I have to go in and manually retype it, go up there and do everything else? No, I can use that handy tool called the Format Painter, then go and change that. So if I go and highlight the font that the style and format that I want to see, and then click on that paintbrush, and I can then go and completely re-highlight that other area, and it will automatically update the format of that other area to look like how I wanted it to be then. Let's say I wanted it to be like this Calibri font. I can highlight that section there, I can repaint right over it, and boom, it automatically transfers over to that then. It's one of those things where, again, this technology can help improve your process for a lot of these things. No need to reinvent the wheel there. If you've already gone and formatted one section a particular way, then you can use that Format Painter to really help speed up the rest of your actions there if you want to convert that text from area to area. Another really helpful tool is the spell check, also known as editor nowadays. So spell check was what I grew up with. That was what it was called then. Nowadays, because Microsoft has added additional features to then just checking your spelling, and now refer to it as editor. But if you can see, this sentence right there is misspelled. You know, I was typing really fast. I was making my typos. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes typos. It's going to come up. You're going to misspell things as it comes up then. But that being said, let's say I want to go through and I want to try to fix everything right here. Well, one thing that's nice about Microsoft Word is that it will automatically point out when something is misspelled. You see this word this, where I'm trying to spell this. If I click on it, not only would it automatically come up with this, not only will it automatically come up with the proper spelling if I go and click on things. That being said, again, it can be time consuming to try to go through and try to fix every single spelling mistake. What you can do instead to try to do the whole document all at once is if you go up to this review tab right up here on the top right hand side of the screen there, you can then do is you can go to a section called editor. So on my screen right now, I have it condensed. So the way that you might see it, let me expand out a little bit there so you can see all the different settings here. So if I then go to this proofing and then editor, it will then go through and automatically find the issues that are within this document. So let me go to spelling corrections. So right here, it's saying, hey, looks like you misspelled sentence. Which one did you want to do? Did you mean to say this one, or that one? Let's say I meant, hey, I wanted this to be sentence. I'm going to fix that then. This one, I want to ignore that for now. Let's say that like for example, I spell my name Johnny without an H. Sometimes what might come up is that you have something spelled that the dictionary doesn't understand the proper way then. What you can do is you can always hit ignore and it will come back to it then. So this one right here, I want to leave as a typo. Don't worry, we'll come back to it later. This one right here, I meant to spell all, but it's giving me options there to say, hey, maybe you meant to do something else then. I'll click all. And then there's one misspelling right here where I misspelled. So you can go ahead and fix that then. It can also then look at your grammar. One thing, you can also look to check your grammar. So for this area, I put text dash boxes because I wanted to make sure that you separate those in particular. So I want to keep that one. I want to ignore it. This one, I forgot to put a period on the end of the sentence. So it's then checking for that then. So let me put a period there. Let me put a period there. And hey, it says that this document is even better than it was before that. You can even check for things outside of your standard spelling and grammar then. For formality, maybe it says, hey, for a document like this, it might be better to spell out the word 17 then, as opposed to the number 17. You ignore it for now then. One of these things where you can use that editor feature for a whole bunch of different ways then. If when you're working on a document, mistakes are going to happen. But if you go to this review tab and then proofing, then editor or spelling and grammar or whatever sort of tools you have there, there are a lot of tools to help you check that spelling and help you to check that grammar then. Now, those were the beginner tips. Let's go ahead and get into some intermediate tips when it comes to the first intermediate tip I want to talk about is what I like to call text boxes. So let's say you're going and making this document and you say, hey, I'm going and typing here like normally, but I want to put text in a specific area. Like I am going and I'm saying I am typing. Here, let me move this out of the way then. I'm typing right here on the page, but I want text to stick on the right hand side. So the way you can do that is if you go to this insert tab up top here, there's then an option for you to insert what I call a text box. So we go to insert and then text and then text box. You can then choose different sort of text boxes on here. Maybe it's something where I want to put a specific sidebar on the right-hand side where I want it to stick there. What I always like to do, though, is I like to draw my own text box. So if I go here and I go to text box, then click draw text box, you can then go, your mouse will turn to this little icon right here. You can then just go ahead and click and drag exactly where you want it to be there. I can say, hey, I want this text box to be on the right-hand side. And then, you can go and do your standard formatting things. I can increase the text here. I can make it bold, easier to see then. Now, one of the reasons why I put this as an intermediate tip is that there are some 4 different formatting things you can do within this text box. You see this little icon here on the right-hand side, this little U shape between the in front of lines. There are different formatting things you can do within this text box. So if you look at the options here, these icons, in my experience, I don't know what's going on with the icons. What's worked better for me is to test different options to get a better understanding with this. Well, if I could sum up one of these Microsoft Word tips or Microsoft in general tips with one sentence, almost everything is fixable. It's one of those things where if you go and change something in Microsoft Word, it's very easy to go up here and undo actions real fast. If you make a mistake, if your formatting got messed up, you can always go up to this undo button up there and then go and fix it then. So let's say I don't like that this text box is on top of that other text there. I want to move it around. Well, let's go ahead and play with some of the options I have here. Well, if we do inline with text, I'm not sure what that means, but if we can move it around, I can see that I'm actually moving this within different text things. So this text box is in the middle of the word typing right now. If I go and move it a little bit around, there it is. Now the text box is in the middle of the word right. See, I put it right between the G and the H there. If I go and move it again, this time, if you can see where I'm putting it, I'm going to be putting it right between the words A and the word M. So when you see inline text, that's referring to that you are putting that text box not necessarily a specific point on the page, but a specific point on the text. If we look at some other options, maybe this one is labeled tight text wrapping. Text wrapping refers to that as I move it around, the text will move to wrap around the box itself. So maybe I want this text on the right-hand side, and I want the other text to sort of form around it there. I can play with the size of it. As you can see, the text will move around then. Again, it's one of those things of the takeaway from this program is I don't want you to remember, oh, the difference of inline with text versus tight versus through, those types of things then. I want you to remember that, hey, I have options to play with it. As I'm working on that flyer, as I'm working on the capability statement, I can mess with Word and try to see what format works the best for me there. Don't be afraid to mess with these text boxes to figure out the formatting there. Because worst comes to worst, let's say, oh, I changed that something, I want to change it back. You go up to this top left-hand corner for this undo button. You can undo it and redo it, and you can go back pretty easily there. So don't be afraid to mess around with it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. There'll be changes that can come up there. Okay. Now, another intermediate tip I like to point out there is to use your documents as templates. So if you remember earlier when I pointed out that you could have different templates, that you could download templates from online and then update things. Well, if you see here, I downloaded this bistro menu right from the Microsoft website. So when I have it pulled up here on the right-hand side, maybe, hey, I'm that bistro, this is my standard menu, but maybe I have a special event coming up. Maybe I'm doing that autumn event where I'm changing some of my services then. What I can do is that if I have this bistro menu saved as a standard document as a template, what I can then do is I go up to here to this file option at the top left-hand corner, click on that, and then go to this save a copy option. What I can then do is I can save this version of the document. I can keep my original template, my original bistro menu, and then I can save this document as a separate file to make sure I'm separating it from the rest. Maybe I'm having a Halloween event. So maybe instead of bistro menu, I'm going to then label this Halloween menu. If I hit save, I can check up here. Yep, it's saved as a separate thing. I now have, because I use that save a copy, I now have two different options in there. If we see, I go back and look at my Word settings. I have where did that save to? Oops. Did I not save it in the right place? Oh no, I'm blind. It was right there at the top. Oh, I'm sorry. If you can see, I still have my original bistro menu, and then I have this Halloween menu. So now when I go and update this option there, I say Halloween menu instead, and then maybe I reduce the text size to make sure it fits nice. I can then go in and change this. Maybe instead of a Cobb salad, it's a spooky Cobb salad. Maybe, you know, because it's spooky, I'm going to take out the blue cheese or something along those lines. By starting off with that template, okay, let's go ahead and save this Halloween document. It's saved. I'm going to go ahead and close it. By using that save as option, you can go and make different versions of the same document. So let me go back and update and bring up that bistro menu again. So again, this is the original document. This is my original bistro menu. Well, let's say I'm not going to do a Halloween event. I'm going to go ahead and do a Thanksgiving event. I'm going to go again up to that file on the top left-hand side. Click on that. I'm going to scroll down to save a copy. I'm going to hit browse because I like to pick specifically where I save my files. And now this time, because I'm not going to do a Halloween menu, I'm going to do a Thanksgiving menu. So then I will go and manually type this and then say, hey, I'm going to name it Thanksgiving menu to make sure I'm keeping good track of my files here. I'm going to hit save. And if we check up top here, yep, it did save as Thanksgiving menu. So now I can go in and say, and start updating it to make sure I have, and updating it for what I want it to be then. If instead of soda, maybe it's mead for Thanksgiving. Mead at $4. And then I can go in and change mead provided by local brewer. And it's one of those things of I have not changed my standard bistro menu, But starting off with that template and then using save as, I can then go and make these customized versions of it then. So almost for almost all the documents I work on, what I recommend for clients to do is if you start off with those templates and then use that save as feature, you can go and make custom versions of those documents then. Let me go ahead, close that then. Now, once you have those different options going then, what also I like to do then is to provide those documents to people as a PDF. So let's say I went ahead and I made this custom Thanksgiving menu. If you remember earlier when I was going over Google and Microsoft, one of the things I pointed out is that your formatting can often get changed from place to place. Well, if we take a look at this Thanksgiving menu up here at the top, you can see that the word text for this is labeled Source Sans Pro Black. That's one of those texts that I don't know if every single place I have or I send it to will have that font. Let's say I go and send this to a client I'm working with and say, hey, can you print this out then? Or can you provide these menus at a different event then? If I go and send them this Word document file and they're using Google, Google may mess up the formatting when I send it to them then. So one way that you can get around that is by using what I like to call is exporting these documents as PDF. So we're going to have very similar steps as we did before. If you go up to File here, and then instead of Save a Copy, we click Export. We can then export this document as a PDF or a different style of document. Now, you can do this in a lot of different ways. Instead of export, you can also do print. I like to do print because you can see the process growing on the bottom there. If you go to File on the top left-hand corner and then Print, and then if you select for your printer, you select this Microsoft Print to PDF option. You can then hit Print. And what it will do then is it will then save your document as a PDF. So I'm going to save this as Thanksgiving menu. I can hit Print. And what it will do then is it would then show it in the bottom left-hand corner, and that it was printing there. If I go and check those documents, I've now saved my Thanksgiving menu. And if I open this PDF document, I know that this PDF document will have the same format no matter where I go. What's it called? Let me move that down then. So remember I said earlier that one of the issues when working between Google and PowerPoint is accessibility and that the formatting might get messed up. If the file is in that PDF format, that formatting is staying consistent. The PDF is designed to be uneditable and that it will be a professional, consistent appearance. I believe the PDF even stands for like professional document format. So if you want to make sure that menu that you worked on looks the exact same for you as it does to a client, saving it as a PDF is a very helpful way to make sure that you're seeing the exact same thing that the end user would see as well. Now, those were the intermediate tips. Hopefully you learned some help there. Let's go ahead and get into some expert tips. So I have this section here that I like to call Find and Replace. So if we go on the home side of it then, and then go over to the editing section, there's this option here for the word find. Let's say I have this massive document that I'm trying to find one specific word. And so I can go ahead and type that specific word in there. Remember maybe I said menu. Well, if I go ahead and type menu in there, it will go and find me each and every single time I use the word menu in this document. Let's go ahead and do a quick example. Let's go ahead and find the word find in this. Well, as you can tell, Microsoft Word has then gone and found every single time I've used that exact word. Now, there's one thing I like to point out here. If you made a typo, it will not find the incorrect spelling, right? It's not smart enough to find the incorrect spelling. So I always like to say, hey, if you're trying to use this, make sure you do your spell check first. Now, let's go ahead and fix this to then be correct. Your research, yep. Now it has found all of those options there. Now, finding is the first level application of this. Let's say that one person has made one issue across the entire document. I don't want to go ahead and update that. Well, instead of find, right underneath it is replace. So find and replace works pretty similarly to find in that the first option was what you're trying to find. So this time I'm trying to just find that word find. And then what I want to do is I want to replace that word find with just the word replace. So what it's going to do is it's first going to go and find it, that search that I just showed on the left-hand side, and then it will give us options to then replace each and every single one of those then. So let's go ahead and go through step by step then. So if I click find next, it will go to the next one in the document. Now I can say, hey, do I want to replace it? Well, I do want to replace that one. If it's something where you know you're going to replace it, you can go ahead and replace all, but just remember that. Like, for example, I didn't want to replace the title here, but because I clicked replace all, it went and did that. Now, the common places this tool comes up is basically when you're like spell checking and proof checking a document. Like, for example, if you tend to use one adjective very commonly, then it might be good to go and find through that document all the times you might use that adjective. You always use the word unique in every single paragraph and every single sentence has that word. Well, if you go and then search find for unique, you can then see all the times you've used it and then try to say, hey, I'm going to put a different adjective in there instead then. One oftentimes I use replace, especially working with business owners. When working on a business plan, they might use one acronym very commonly for their business. And what I found is that I can look and find out what that acronym refers to, but someone else reading the document may not have that availability. So oftentimes I will use that replace feature to say, hey, let's find all the times that they use that acronym, that industry specific acronym, and then replace it with the full term. So that way it's just a little bit easier to understand for other people. Now, the next expert tip I like to do refers to formatting within Excel. So if I go ahead and make this full screen here, and then one quick tip then, if you ever want this to be one page at a time instead of the 2 pages, if you just go to web layout and then print layout, it will fix that. But here, if I go back to this home tab here, one expert tip within Excel is to point out different heading types. So if you see this big box right here on the middle of the home page that's labeled styles, what you can do then is you can label your text in different ways then. So I'm going to go ahead and just change these all to normal text. I don't want these to be anything specific. But let's say you're working on a business plan and you do want different headings to have different areas then. Well, you can put specific formatting on different areas. Let's say I want my first headings to be bold. I want them to be in this Amethyst MT Pro Black font. I want them to be a lot bigger. I want them to be underlined. And let's say I want to start every heading in that way then. Well, what you can do is you can then highlight this, go up to that heading area and say, and if you right click on it, you can then update your heading 1 to match that selection. And what it will then do is that every other place you have that heading, it will then go and format it to be that way. So this section was formatted as a heading 1. Well, if I were to then go up and say, hey, I want this to be in the same level as heading 1, and then click on it, it will then go and format it to that whole way around that. So basically, you can think of these heading types as a more complicated version of that format painter we went over right at the very beginning. What you can do is you can then preset those formats, that formatting for different areas. So you can say like, hey, I know I'm going to be using these headings in a lot of areas then. Well, you can go and use it for that then. Let's say for heading 2, I want it to be something smaller. Maybe I want it to be blue. Well, I already have the formatting set for that one then. I can just go ahead and highlight where I want it to be formatted that way, and then it will work for that. Let's go for heading 3. I will then click on the heading 3 tab, and it will put the formatting in the exact way that I want to see it there. So those heading types are a way that you can preset your formatting ahead of time then. It's one of those things where it's a little bit more complicated than just going and using the format painter to bring it from area to area, because there are also further applications when it comes to these headings, such as automatically setting up a table of contents. So our last expert tip here for Excel, if we go up here to references, there's an option under references on this left-hand side for table of contents. So this especially comes up with business plans I work with, where the lender may not necessarily be reading cover to cover your business plan. So the table of contents is very important for someone to know where they're jumping across from area to area. Well, if you have set up those headings properly, you can automatically have that table of contents go in there. So if I go ahead and click on this table of contents and click on automatic table, well, if you can see, it's updating this table of contents based off of how we had those options there before. Remember how I said that I put expert tip 1, find and replace, to be this heading 1 category? Well, this table of contents saw that that was labeled as heading 1, and it was like, oh, it's smart enough to then realize, hey, I'm going to put this in that area then. Same goes for these other options. If you saw here, I had heading 1 beginning as heading 1, heading 2 is heading 2, so on and so forth. But if we check this table of contents, it automatically is smart enough to say, hey, you wanted that to be over a little bit, heading 2 indented a little, heading 3 indented a little then. It's one of those things where you can automatically update it, update your table of contents relative to that formatting. Now, one thing I'll point out though, you always have to manually go in and update that table of contents. So let me go to this part 1, this part 2, and part 3 and format them with headings 1, 2, and 3. That table of contents will not automatically update to showcase that. What you have to do is if you go to the table of contents, you just click on this update table. It will then automatically, it will then update to reflect that new formatting you've done there. So what I would suggest is, especially if you're going to go and submit something that has a table of contents, once you're done editing the document, double check that table of contents to make sure it's set up correctly. So with that, those are our tips and tricks when it comes to Microsoft Word. Let's switch over to Microsoft PowerPoint. So Microsoft PowerPoint, we're going to go with the same sort of format, and then I'm going to start with starter tips and then move into intermediate tips and expert tips then. So for the starter tips, very similar when it comes to very similar when it comes to the Microsoft Word tips, in that there are a whole bunch of templates in there to use in Microsoft PowerPoint. So if I go ahead and open a new PowerPoint here, I go ahead and click on File, I click on New. Even within PowerPoint itself, there are a whole bunch of really nice templates in here. Let's say, oh, I really like this cool, I like the color combination of this navy blue, bright blue, and gray here. I go ahead and click on that. I can click Create. And boom, it's already going ahead and give me this template presentation. Again, I keep saying it with these Microsoft products, don't reinvent the wheel here. There are already preset options for you. Before you get started, go ahead and check those preset options, see if you can save yourself a whole bunch of time. To go ahead with saving yourself some time there, one format that you can easily do when making your document is to use the option of duplicating your slides. Let's say that on this template I just made, I really like this slide format right here. Maybe I've gone and put an image there, and I want to make sure that that PowerPoint image stays in the same place. Maybe I label the slide Engaging the Audience Part 1, and then I want a Part 2 for this. Well, if I want to have a Part 2 and I want to keep that formatting in the same place, far and away the easiest way to do that is to just go ahead to this left-hand side, right-click on the slide itself, then click Duplicate Slide. What I've done then is that I now have the exact same formatting in both slides. It copied the picture over, it copied those text boxes. It looks the exact same, right? Well, just like how I said earlier with the Save As, now that I have 2 of them, I can go in and I can make a Part 2. I can say, hey, for Engaging the Audience for Part 2, I still have that same formatting there. And maybe it's, hey, use active listening to engage your audience, repeat back what is said to you, so on and so forth. So now when I'm working on a document, when I'm working on a presentation, I can make sure that that PowerPoint, the formatting is in the exact same way from slide to slide. To let you behind the curtain a little bit, when I made this presentation myself, if you can see the icons in the top right-hand corner, that's how I use duplicate slide myself to keep those images formatted in the exact same place then. So it's far and away, if you have a fallback to say, hey, I'm working on this presentation, I got to work fast, I'm not sure how to do all the other formatting stuff, you can always use that duplicate slide in case of emergency to say, hey, I want to make sure that I keep this formatting from slide to slide. Another thing that's really nice to point out within PowerPoint is animations. There's one of those things one of the most common mistakes I see with PowerPoints is having too much information on one slide, or especially all at once. Especially if you're going and listening to a presentation, especially like you're doing for right now, it can be very easy to get overwhelmed with too much information on screen at one time. So one way I like to get that point across in my presentations is to use animations. What animations refer to is basically different information from the screen going and popping up at different times then. So if you can tell right here on this slide, I don't have anything here, but if I go ahead and click forward on this, I've added an animation to that image. If we take a look at the whole slide itself, you can see I have all my documents there. But if you see these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, so on and so forth, the way this document is set up with those animations is that when it first loads up, you'll only see this basic stuff. But if I go ahead and click through this presentation, you'll see these different options come up then. So for that one, that was a jump in. For this picture, for this bullet points here, I've used different effects. So you can have the text appear, you have it fade in, you have it fly in, float in, split, so on and so forth in terms of different shapes and styles there. Whatever sort of formatting you think works best for you in your document. That sort of animations, that's a really way in that, hey, if I have a lot of information on my slides, if you break up your slide into individual parts, you can make it a lot easier for the people viewing at home to try to process that information. To say, hey, if I had all 10 of these listed at once, it might be a little bit overwhelming. But if I take it one by one, it can then be easier for you or for the audience to understand and interpret that information. Now, to get into the intermediate tips, one way to organize those annotations is through what I call the animation pane. So if I go back to this slide here with all these different options listed here, then you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I go to on this top ribbon here, animations, and then click on animation pane, it will then show the exact order that I want for these options then. Let's say, you know what, I changed my mind. I want that picture to show up last. I can drag that picture all the way to be 10 instead of 1. And if I share the slide again, what you'll see is that instead of that picture popping in first, that picture will then be the last one that comes across there. That pane, this animation pane, is basically where you can do the formatting when it comes for those animations then. Maybe you can say, hey, I want to demonstrate how animations can be different. So I want those first 3 to show up all at once. If I go ahead and click on 2 and 3 here, I can then click on the drop down arrow. I can click start with previous. And then if you can see, you see how appear, fade, and fly in all have the same number here. Well, because they all have the same number here, if I go ahead and click on present again, all 3 appeared right at the same time then. And that I've set up my animations to be at the same time. Maybe I want that to happen at the same time the picture rolls in. I want the picture to fly in at the same time as everything else. Maybe I click start with previous. Now I click it. Oh, wow, not only those 3 came in, but the picture came in at the same time. So that animation pane is very helpful because it helps you order and coordinate those animations then. Like if you want a picture and a piece of text show up at the same time, this animation pane is where you can format it to make sure that happens. Another thing that you can do is insert things directly into your channel here, directly into the PowerPoint. So if you see this insert tab, you have a whole bunch of options to insert information directly into this. The most common form that comes up might be in the case of a YouTube video. So if you go into this insert tab on the top side here and scroll over to video, there are options to insert videos even from online. So if I go online, so if I click on online, what I can do then is I can either type in the slide for this specifically, but what I often like to do is just go right to your YouTube link. Let's go to YouTube and we'll click in, okay, let's go YouTube PowerPoint tutorial. I'll click on a PowerPoint tutorial here. I'll go ahead and copy the link. You can go just straight to it, copy the link, paste it right in there, and there'll be an option to insert it right into the slides. And if you want an example of what that looks like, I've gone and done that right here. So on this slide, I went and inserted the video right to it. And so the way the PowerPoint defaults the formatting for that is when you go to the slide, it will take a second to load it. Then you can go ahead and click right on the video and it will play right here in the slide. So I went and got a PowerPoint. Let's go ahead and I don't want to play a political ad right now then, but you can play those YouTube videos right in the document itself there. Froze up for a second there. All right, looks like we're back. But if you are trying to put videos in there, you can go directly from online, from YouTube or other places then, and insert them right into the document. Now, I said in the Word document, I'm repeating it again here in the PowerPoint section. Especially when you are going and providing slides for a presentation or something else, what I like to do is to get those slides available in that PDF format. If you remember from the Word section, the PDF format is that document where it will be the same consistent formatting. Again, just like how Word and Google Docs can have formatting issues, they come up way more frequently when it comes from Microsoft PowerPoint to Google Slides then. Especially when it comes to, think of all the different formatting things on here. I have the PowerPoint icon in the top right. I have this text here with intermediate tips. I have this sort of logos on the bottom. I got page numbers, so on and so forth. Far and away, the most common issues I see with PowerPoint formatting comes from converting it from where you're working to loading it up in another place then. So you can get past those formatting issues by using that export to PDF the same way we did back with Word too. We go up to File up here in the top left and click Print to PDF, or you can click on Export and then Export as a PDF. You can go and get those sort of same stagnant documents from place to place. So if I go back to that same folder earlier, I went and already made a PDF version of these slides. So if I go and click on tips and tricks for using Word and PowerPoint, well, it loads them up in Word and Firefox, where I've set to open PDFs. But as you can see, it's the same document, it's the same formatting I had earlier. It's one of those things of it will take out those animations. I won't be able to present as easily, but I'll know that the person who has a copy of my slides is looking at the same exact document I'm looking at right now. And so oftentimes I recommend that, especially if giving out presentations, like if you're printing out those slides ahead of time, print out the PDF, not directly from the PowerPoint then, because that's how you can make sure that you have the same formatting. Now, here's a tip in PowerPoint specific to when you're presenting yourself then. So here, I need to get rid of this. All right, so right now I'm sharing my whole screen. So what you should be seeing is just the view of my slide itself. Well, if I had two monitors up, what it might pop up is this image here. And you might see this yourself if you go and load up PowerPoint yourself then. You might get this view where you have different slides in different places. Well, if I go down here and I click Show Presenter View, it should then be showing that same version here now. So what's really nice about Presenter View is that you can get a whole bunch of information in addition to your slides while you're presenting. You might be able to share just the slide like I did earlier, but here in the Presenter View, look at how much information I have. Not only do I have the slide I'm looking at right now, I can see what slide is next coming up so I can prepare ahead of time then. It will also display any notes you have in the presentation itself. So if you can see here, if I back out for a second, I have notes here written on this slide to say, in Presenter View, any notes you have will be there. I went and typed them in right there. Well, if I go back into that Presenter View, it will display those notes on the right-hand side. So maybe it's something where like, hey, I want to make sure when I'm presenting this that I hit this specific topic. Or, hey, I'm really bad at public speaking. I want to script out exactly what it is I'm going to say within my presentation. You can go ahead and put that in the notes, and that information will be displayed for you to look at right there on the slide. So if you're someone who's not the best at public speaking, or you want to take a look at other advice then, this presenter view can be very helpful for you. That being said, you want to be very careful, or at least when it comes to testing, when it comes to this presenter view then. It looks a whole lot less professional if when you go to start a presentation, they're seeing this screen as opposed to just the standard slides. So if I switch back to the, hide presenter view, if I go back to the slides, double check with either staff member, test it ahead of time to make sure that they are seeing this version while you are seeing that presenter view. Most commonly, the way to get across this is either having two monitors where you have the normal slide view up on the side while you're looking at this presenter view, or when you're sharing it yourself then, if you are in the Zoom settings or Microsoft Teams settings, you can then choose to share just the slideshow from the team or slide settings. That being said there, you always want to double check it because again, it would look pretty unprofessional if you did not have that proper, if you were not displaying the proper area. Now, another thing I always like to point out then when it comes to an expert tip is that let's say that you're working in a document with a lot of suggestions, or you're trying to work directly on the document. When you are sharing your screen, you see these buttons here in the bottom left-hand corner. This button, 3 over from the left-hand side then, is the annotate button. So if I go ahead and click on this, I can go and have different options to point things out on my slide. So maybe you don't see my mouse cursor, but if I use this laser pointer, it's then easier to then see what I'm trying to point to then. If I go back down here, and maybe instead I want to use a pen. I want to draw directly on here. I want to say I'm going to draw, or well, I use an R, not D for draw. Okay, I can just go like this. I can draw right on the screen. So I'm trying to use my mouse right here. Actually, I think this is a touch screen. So I could draw right on the page. So if you're using a document where maybe you have blanks in there and you want to try to fill in those blanks, or maybe you have math and you want to try to show some math equations right here, I could then draw on here 2x equals 4, divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 2. And what's nice about this annotate view is if I close my screen here, if I get out, and it will keep what I drew right there on the screen. So let's say I'm giving a presentation and I want to make sure that the class attendees have that same drawings I made. I can then make sure that I keep those documents on there. Let's say I provide the slides ahead of time, but I say, hey, I really want you to make sure that you remember this word annotations. I can use highlighting. I can highlight it right there. And not only do the people who are viewing the presentation see that I'm highlighting this, again, annotations, and it will keep that formatting right there then. If I want to get rid of it, I can go back in and click on it myself when editing, but it's really nice and helpful to be able to draw right on the page and then keep that information for yourself afterwards. Okay, the last PowerPoint expert tip that we're going to have here is what I like to call the slide master. So a lot of these tips I've given you are ways to try to make the formatting for these documents easier. But the slide master is one of the ways that you can, the slide master is one of the ways that you can do that. If I go up here to view and then click slide master, the slide master is where you can make wholesale changes to your formatting. So let me close out of master view and then go back here to this then. If you've seen throughout the presentation, I have this Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence at University of Pittsburgh logo right here on the bottom. Well, those formatting features are right there in the slide master. I didn't have to go in there and put them on there. Even if I wanted to get rid of them, I can't click on it right now. Let's say that I'm working with someone who's not the most tech savvy, and I want to make sure that, hey, they don't accidentally move this logo. I want to make sure it's in the exact same place. Well, that's how you can format it. You can format that using that slide master feature. I go back up to view, and I click slide master. It will then open up a different view with a whole bunch of different styles there where you can go and edit different things. Like for example, for this version of the slide, it has a page number here in the bottom left. And so now whenever I make a new slide with that format, it will have that page number there in the bottom left every time then. If we look at the whole, that's where it has this logo. Let me move that logo over a little bit. And then I'll click save and I'll close the slide master. if you can see, it's updated the formatting for all of the different slides to move that logo over to the right-hand side. So this slide master is a way that you can set up your formatting across the board for everything. Let me go back into that slide master. Slide master. Okay, now let me put that logo back. Let's say I want to put another option in here. I want in all of these slides, I want a text box that says property of Johnny Gamble. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put in a text box. Remember that insert text box we showed earlier in the word section? I'm going to say, okay, protected by Johnny Gamble. And hey, there's a typo. Fix that. And then it's kind of hard to see that. I'm going to go ahead and make that white. Expand that over. Okay. And then if I save that, and then I go back to view, excuse me, and then I close my slide master, close the master view. That protected by Johnny Gamble is now going to be on all of those other slides that I've worked on today. So the slide master is really helpful when you want to have consistent formats and consistent views across the board there. And so that is our last expert tip for our program today then. So I'd love to open it up to Q&A then. If anyone listening has had any questions so far then, feel free to take yourself off mute, ask me any questions then. Does anyone have any questions or suggestions when it comes to Word or PowerPoint?
This was great.
Oh, thank you.
I worry about remembering everything.
Well, I was going to say I was going to provide Sean with the presentation material.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to provide that Word document, this PowerPoint document, and as well as PDF versions of it. I bring the PDFs because they're important, but no worries, I'll give you the PowerPoint format as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions while I'm here?
Yes, this is Cheryl McAbee. Now, how did you get to that presenter view? Where is that located?
Okay. Yeah, so here, you see how I'm presenting my screen right here? On these buttons on the bottom left-hand side, the button all the way to most to the right has 3 dots. If you click on those 3 dots, one of these options then is to show this presenter view. So if I then click on show presenter view, it will then come up with that format right then and there. It will also come up automatically if you have 2 monitors. Like if I had a monitor on my right-hand side, it might put one of those, it might put this view on one of the monitors and then the normal slide view on the other one. So if you are going to present something, I just make sure to test it, especially if you need those notes to rely on. Any other questions? Okay, going once, going twice. All right. Well, I thank you for your presentation. I thank you for joining our presentation here today. What I was going to suggest is that if you do have other questions, you can always feel free to get in contact with us. Again, our business consulting is available at completely no cost. A lot of the clients I work with are ones who end up needing formatting. I'm the de facto IT person when it comes to our office here. But if you are interested in our no-cost consulting, we would love to get in contact with you. You can reach out to us at our location here in Oakland, or you can always reach out to us by phone at our 412-648-1542 number, or of course, you can get in contact with us via email. It's a pretty easy email to remember, just sbdc@pitt.edu. Again, we provide completely no-cost business consulting. So whether that's someone you want to talk to say, hey, I'm working on a capability statement for a bid opportunity, and I want someone to review that. Or say, hey, I'm having trouble with these formatting documents. Johnny, I need some help here. Or it's saying, hey, I just want someone to talk to just to go over my business ideas. Then just nice to, oftentimes it can be nice just to be connected to someone there for that sort of stuff. If you want, we'd love for you to get connected with us on our social media platforms. So just like we're presenting here with the African American Chamber of Commerce, we have additional educational events that we host internally as well. So you can always get connected with us on LinkedIn by scanning this QR code right here, or on Facebook by scanning that QR code. We're also pretty easy in terms of our social media handles. They should just be at Pitt SBDC on both of those platforms.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Sean is going to do the wrap up and close you out. Johnny, you've been remarkable. This was great.
Well, thank you so much, Doris. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope everyone learned a lot about how to use Microsoft Word and PowerPoint from this presentation.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And I can't wait for the follow-up one that we'll have next week, in which you'll be presenting on Excel and Outlook, which I think will be just as good as this one today. Like Johnny said, he's going to send me the slides. I will send this out to all the attendees, and there will be an evaluation attached with it. Please fill that out so we can let Johnny know how he did. Upcoming events. This Friday, we have our Power Breakfast meeting, in which we'll have Kendra Whitlock Ingram, who is the president and CEO of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, 7:30 a.m. at the Rivers Club. If you want to attend, please let me know. On October 30th, like I was saying, we have our advanced techniques using Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Outlook, which will be at 11 o'clock virtual, which we'll have Johnny presenting again. And finally, we'll have another Power Breakfast on Friday, November 8th with Senator Jay Costa. That will be at 7:30 at the Rivers Club. If you want to attend, please let me know. And save the date for our upcoming annual business luncheon, which will be December 12th with Ken Gormley as our speaker. This webinar has been recorded. If anyone wants the recording, please send me an email, let me know. And this closes out our webinar for today. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and have a good day.
See ya. Bye-bye.